Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Charles Coercion Show. I'm Charles Coercion, Australasia's passion provocateur. In this week's show, I share with you 7 practical strategies to handle the no jab, no job challenge. I'm advising a significant number of people on the ultimatums, on the coercion that's being put on them to have the jab or they lose their job. There are people suffering significant trauma. They are stressed. They are depressed. Their career path is being destroyed. Their future prospects, they consider, are being destroyed. There is great sadness and grief. There is significant depression happening. Of course, 60% of Australians having a great time. All public servants, employees in big business, anyone who's been willing to take the jab, their prospects are terrific, unless the jab, of course, causes them adverse events. But a majority of Australians have still got their income, they've taken the risk of having the jab, and so those whose jobs are at risk are feeling this challenge even more. But I say you have choices. You can thrive even if you don't want the jab and you lose your job. There are at least 7 strategies that you can put in play, and there are many more. Stick around. I think you'll find it useful. This weekly show is founded on the formula SA plus P equals S. Self-awareness plus passion equals success. Your self-awareness plus your passion will give you success. Since 1993, when I left my successful legal career to become Australasia's passion provocateur, I have provoked, inspired, educated people to discover and pursue their passion. And it's important to understand that there are 2 ways to pursue your passion. Number 1, you're passionate about your work. Number 2, you understand that your work enables you to pursue your passion, which might be climbing the 7 highest peaks on planet Earth, or it might be doing an Ironman triathlon like I did many years ago, but I still continue to train for triathlons, as regular viewers and listeners would know. I've shared my ideas through speeches, through workshops, through team building programs, ongoing programs, and then working in just 1-day or 2-day programs. I've written 2 books, Passionate People Produce, Passionate Performance, contributed to 2 others. Those books are available on our websites, covest.com, charlescovest.com. What I can tell you is that the ideas I have shared over the last 28 years have had a profoundly positive impact on many people, but they took action. Now, in some cases, the action that they took was they shifted their mindset, and that's what this show is about, helping you to shift your mindset. This show is also predicated on Socrates' famous quote, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So I'm hoping and confident that the ideas I share with you will help you to examine your life and make it more worth living. You can see I'm wearing my red jacket, red the colour of passion. This is part of my brand. But I wear it so that when you see something red, it reminds you to ask the question, am I pursuing my own passion? What am I passionate about? Each week I explore one big idea that can change your life. And today, maybe one strategy I share with you can change your life. I share one big idea because too many ideas can confuse us. Getting one idea a week from this show, whether you're watching it or listening on the podcast, can give you 52 big ideas in a week. If just 5 of them are implemented by you, wow, that could take you to amazing places. One of the strategies that I invite you to practice every week and in your life is to have an open mind, to be open to new ideas. Don't shut your mind off from new ideas. I also share with you some resources, 6 resources that will help you implement the big idea. A song with its lyrics, a book, an inspiring quote, a health tip, a spiritual tip, and some humour. After all, don't take life too seriously. You know, at the end of the day, we're all going to the same place. That's why I'm the chairman of the Australian Institute of Comedy and on the board of the Australian Cartoon Museum. Put some humour into your life. I do, all the time. Despite the work that I do, despite the issues that I'm handling, I have plenty of humour in my life, plenty of laughs. Plus, I've got Julie, who's always laughing, you see, so that's because she says she's happy to be with me, and particularly because this week it's her birthday. So, big happy birthday to my darling wife. Mwah! This show is not politically correct, and I'm all in favour of useful addictions, including my addiction for caffeine. This show subscribes to the view that we definitely have a spiritual life. We have a human spirit that is far beyond what you can actually see or hear or touch or smell or taste. Far beyond your five senses. It's an amazing resource that you can tap into. If you hate anything spiritual, this is not the show for you. So, let's review the week before we get into the big idea. The Queensland Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, that's the way you pronounce her name. She likes to say it Palaszczuk, but she's a chook. She's announced new mandates for Queenslanders, which are being attacked, I'm delighted to see, by Clive Palmer as being unconstitutional and improper. But Queenslanders are now starting to feel some of the nonsense that Victorians have been feeling. COP26, whatever COP stands for, in Glasgow is described by many wise and intelligent commentators as a total fizzer. And my position on this is quite clear. Climate change is not anthropogenic. I'm all in favour of looking after the planet. I am not in favour of taking action based on BS. I have done the research. Regular viewers and listeners will know that since 1992 I've been involved in renewable energy. But to say that climate change is being caused because of the level of CO2 or methane in the atmosphere is so controversial, so wrong. But to then destroy our ability to heat ourselves, to have access to energy, and then just assume, oh yes, we can afford the cost of any of that. There are many experts who say the claims of the climate warriors are ridiculous. I agree that they're ridiculous, but I am in favour of protecting this planet. So there you are. There's my position. I was delighted to see huge demonstrations in Melbourne yesterday. I say to you, they were between 70 and 100,000 people. And the reason why I say that, don't listen to the mainstream media reports. They hate that sort of stuff. But I have been going to grand finals in Melbourne, football grand finals, since 1964. And the crowd, every grand final is in the realms of 100,000 people. I have a good feel for 100,000 people. What that feels like, the sort of mass of humanity, that's what was on show yesterday in Melbourne. It's wonderful news, and it's wonderful to see that the police are behaving properly and that demonstrators are behaving properly. We don't want any violence, so that's inspiring, should be inspiring for you, and I urge all of you who don't agree with what governments are doing to make your displeasure known in as many ways as you possibly can. What's good about it is that many people around the world are awake to the loss of freedom. And my position on this is very clear. You are free to have the jab. I'm free not to have the jab. Don't take away my freedom, and don't give me the bullshit that me not having the jab puts others at risk. That is such a profound lie, but if you want alleged protection, you're free to have it. I'm free to not have it. Freedom. If you don't understand what that means, you will lose it. In fact, I suggest you've probably lost it. More and more science comes out every day. I get 500 emails a day from some of the top scientists, medical experts around the world, showing that the government narrative is fraudulent and criminal. I say to you, the government narrative is fraudulent and criminal. And if you don't like what I say, then go away. Go away. If you can't cope with truth, go away. Don't watch this. Don't listen. The videos that I have seen emerging, particularly a song with What's Going On, of sportsmen, young women playing world-class sport, collapsing on the sporting field. Just have a look at that video and get disturbed, because it's very disturbing. And in the meantime, while all this is going on and about these matters about which I'm passionate, including freedom, I'm happy. Julie's happy. I choose to be happy. I choose to embrace this challenge that we're facing. I'm exercising every day. And I want to be a reminder to you that it doesn't matter what's happening in your life. Happiness is not the absence of problems. Please understand that. You don't have to suppress your happiness until everything's perfect, because you'll never be happy. I'm happy. I love my life. Sometimes I go, I wish I didn't have to do this. I wish I didn't have to fight for freedom, but that's what's happening. Good. I embrace that challenge. So now to our big idea. Before I do, I invite you to subscribe to this podcast. I invite you to press the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. And if you're enjoying this show, please share it with your family, your friends, your colleagues. Go and visit our websites, covest.com, charlescovest.com. You can discover more about the self-awareness and passion quest on the Charles Covest website, and I can also send you the manifesto to give you a guideline for living life in a way that changes your whole experience of it. Just click the request the manifesto button on that site and I'll be happy to send it to you. If you have any suggestions, questions for what you'd like me to cover in this show, please also send me an email. Now, today's big idea. People are losing their jobs unfairly, unlawfully, criminally, because they're told no jab, no job. Governments have made these declarations that if you're not if you're not jabbed, then you can't be working. The basis for those directions, I say, are fraudulent and criminal. However, there are people who are actually losing their jobs because they want the freedom to not have the jab. In many cases, it is contraindicated for them. In many cases, the inserts on the various injections that they want to put in say, do not have this if you are pregnant, and yet you can't get an exemption for this when you're not pregnant. So these people, teachers, nurses, doctors, psychiatrists, dentists, public servants, parliamentarians in the Victorian Parliament, 4 parliamentarians refuse to disclose their jab status, are all losing their jobs or have lost their jobs. Many people have taken their jabs under coercion because they can't afford to not have a job, or they think they can't afford to not have a job. And you might think that you can't afford not to have a job. Well, I'm going to give you some new ways of thinking about that. But there's also the coercion going on with the first jab, and then with the second jab, and the adverse events that are happening right around the world are shocking in numbers. There have never been so many jabs ever in the entire history of jabbing people since about the mid-1950s. Well, that was polio really, but it's remarkable, the adverse events and deaths that are happening. And for many people, it's happening at the second jab. There are also people who've had a bad adverse reaction to the first jab, and then they're told they still have to have the second jab. It's remarkable. And so people, there's the second stage of this, and then employers who really don't know these issues well enough are then mandating these rules imposed on them by government. So, if you take the jab under coercion of losing your job, that is not informed consent. That is not informed consent. So there's some legal issues that you can take there, but if you choose to take it and you get injured, there are remedies available to you. I'm happy to share those with you. Here's my 7 strategies for you. Step 1. I urge you to explore your scale of values. What's important to you? What do you value? Do you value your health ahead of your wealth? Do you value your health after wealth? Is money more important to you than your health? Or you've got your health to protect and then you've got to look after your family. Or do you value security, that you can't cope without the security of financial situation? Every one of us has a different level because each one of us is a weirdo. We have different levels of coping with the security question. You have obligations to family. You might have young children. You say, I can't possibly be without a job. But understanding your values is crucial to make this decision. Second strategy, I want you to tally your financial status. What that means is, realistically, add up all the value, all of your assets, all of your liabilities, and get a true picture of what that is. You can change your financial status in a number of ways. One of the key questions that economists are talking about is what's going to happen to the price of houses, because there are global mutterings around deflation in the value of houses. So, is now a good time to sell your house so that you free up resources so that you can cope without a job for a longer period of time. The third strategy is to tally your other resources. So you have more than just financial resources. You have your skills. You have your talents. You have your relationships. They are all assets. You have work relationships, family relationships, broader relationships. They are significant resources that you have. And most people that I've coached over the years, they started at the age of 21, 22, when they came out of university or came out of school with nothing. And the assets that you now have, you have built up through hard work. Well, I put it to you that if this madness of no jab, no job lasts for a year, and you live off your assets, financial resources and other resources over the course of the year, you can rebuild, and you can rebuild faster than you did when you started when you were 22. Why? Because you're much more skilled. We build up resources like bears get fat in summer so that they can hibernate through winter. Strategy number 4. Understand that you are not alone, that there are many in number of people who are choosing the no jab, no job option. So create communities and networks of people who are then going to be willing to support each other, and also your existing resources. You say to people, your friends, your family, I need your financial support if I lose my job. And ask. If you don't ask, the answer is no. Now, your pride might not allow you to do that. Well, then reduce your physical resources. Sell them. Many communities, there are, I suggest to you, very large numbers of people who are with you, and the support that's going to be available, because people have different resources. You might have skilled resources, others will have financial resources. They get combined, and as a community, you can build a magnificent support community that would enable you to thrive for 2, 3, 4 years with no particular job, or without the job that you had in mind. And remember that this too will pass. that I suggest to you that over the course of the next 6 to 12 months, there's going to be massive changes because more and more people are pushing back against government overreach. Strategy number 5, support or fight legal cases against your employer who's imposing these requirements on you. There are numerous legal grounds for doing so. If you don't want to fight the fight, then give financial support to those who are fighting the fight as part of the no jab, no job community. I think you should be very proud to be in the no jab, no job community, by the way. Strategy 6, embrace the challenge that we are in. Embrace this challenge that what I call is World War III. We're fighting for our freedom. Don't resist it. Embrace it. Because by embracing it, you unleash amazing creativity, different ways of handling your situation. Consider yourself as the French resistance did during World War II. There were Nazis everywhere, but the French resistance used creative, innovative ways to be able to survive. Now, some people died. That's the risk. That's what life is about, you know, because it's no risk that you're going to die. The only question is when. I'm willing to embrace this risk. And you're embracing the challenge that we are now in, this existential threat to our Australian and global way of life of the freedoms that we used to have. I think it's worth fighting for. I'm just hoping, you know, as we're fighting World War III, there'll always be coffee available. And number 7, strategy 7, be compassionate to those who are under hypnosis caused by fear, by government fear-mongering, by fraudulent and criminal government fear-mongering. They are genuinely fearful. These people fear this virus, that it's going to kill them. And they have literally swallowed the blue pill. They've literally drunk the Kool-Aid to go, this is such a threat. Be compassionate to those people. Employers, they go, I have no option. The government requires this. Well, that's not true. Employers have many options. The truth is you have choices. If you tell yourself you don't have choices, then that's true. If you tell yourself you do have choices, then that's true. Whether you believe it or you don't believe it, as Henry Ford said, it's true. That's what the power of your human spirit, that's what the amazing creative power of your mind enables you to do. That's what I'm hoping this show does. Opens your mind to new possibilities so that you are not consumed by fear and worry and concern. You embrace this challenge. You go, there's an interesting challenge for me. Just like my parents had to face the challenge of leaving Hungary, the country that they loved, to get away from communism. They came to this country with nothing. Okay? You're capable of doing that. You are an amazing, amazing production of universe, of God. What you are capable of would astound you. Be astounded. Understand the choices that you have available. Don't feel trapped, because you are not. So, the resources I wish to share with you. A song shared by my good friend Tony Clark. Van Morrison, called No More Lockdown. The link to that song is in the chat, in the show notes. It's very good to have Van Morrison. So songs that where the words have been changed to fight back against government overreach, I think are a wonderful resource. The book. I'm talking about being creative, about creating new choices. Well, Edward de Bono is one of the great creative, innovative lateral thinkers of the planet. He died recently. He invented the term lateral thinking. The book that I've found wonderful over the years is Future Positive by Edward de Bono, but read books by Edward de Bono or other books on how to be more creative, how to be more innovative. My quote for you is by Winston Churchill. I love many quotes of Winston Churchill. I think he was a great, great man. It's this: life can either be accepted or changed. If it is not accepted, it must be changed. If it cannot be changed, it must be accepted. I'll say that again. Life can either be accepted or changed. If it is not accepted, it must be changed. If it cannot be changed, it must be accepted. My position on government overreach, it is not inevitable that it be accepted, and therefore it must be changed. I'm fighting for freedom. I accept the analysis by Winston Churchill on this point. My spiritual tip is to understand that your community contribution is a spiritual exercise. Build your communities. Identify the communities that you are presently a part of and invest time into those communities. Build spiritual connection with other human beings. It's going to be a magnificent resource for you and for them. That depth of spiritual connection is what will get you through any challenges. And my health tip is to remind you of the need to balance mental, physical, spiritual elements. And in this environment that we're in, it's very easy to be consumed by fear. Well, the opposite of fear is love. Or the other way that I put it is, what is the opposite of love? Many people say hate, but hate is driven by fear. And fear comes from your mind. Love comes from your soul, your spirit, your heart. Your choice is to not let fear drive your life. Come from your heart, your soul. This is where passion comes from. And when you come from your heart, your soul, when you come from love, you are expanding. When you come from fear, you are shrinking. So the health tip is to understand the ongoing need to balance mental, physical, spiritual elements. So that's it for this week. I hope I've provoked you, educated you, inspired you to think differently about what your situation might be under the no jab, no job implications for you. My position, I would never give away my health for money. I would rather be destitute. I would rather lose everything and be healthy, because I know I'm capable of rebuilding anything I had before. I put my health way, way, way ahead of cash, money, wealth, security. That's a value judgment that I make. I urge you to get really clear about your values, because it liberates you and then it unleashes your genius. Don't forget to visit our websites, covest.com, charlescovest.com. Subscribe to this podcast or to the YouTube channel. Invest in our books. Passionate people produce passionate performance. And I thank you again for listening, for watching. Thank you for the feedback that I get during the weeks. Just by way of interest, I've had more than 5,000 podcast downloads over the last 12 months, so that's very satisfying. I hope I've added value to your lives. Many people have said that it does. I wish you a week of love, not fear, a week of passion, not despair, and I look forward to being with you next week. Bye.